What's going on, everyone? Big Up to the 7 here with another interview with KBash. Unfortunately, my audio did not want to save in the correct area, so I just have his audio. So, gonna be kind of screwed a little bit on this end, but I still have the interview with him. I am going to still post it. Um, Unfortunately, you won't hear my side of it, but I basically explain myself to him, my thoughts on the current atmosphere of gaming, just the different questions that I asked him, which I will be posting, and I'll throw them up on the screen. I'll even just state them aloud, just so everyone can hear them. But again, it's rather unfortunate that I do not have the audio, so please like and subscribe and enjoy the video if you can. So sorry about that. I know it really breaks up the flow, but he's a great creator, and I really wanted to get this video out. So I just hope you guys enjoy the video, and that's really it. And I would also like to add that the parts that are missing out are basically me explaining like my own self, my journey, my path as just an individual, different schooling that I went through my bachelor's degree into my master's degree, and really having that grind set and just really wanting to like provide and put my all into everything. So there will be brief pauses from KBash, and in between those pauses, it's kind of just me explaining and throwing back a couple questions. So again, so sorry for that. It's just going to be him talking. But again, thanks a lot, guys.
Hey, I make YouTube videos and I've been doing it for 8 years now. I think it's actually almost 9. Oh my god. Whatever. I've been around a really long time. I make stupid video game videos, or at least the intent was to make kind of energetic and like funny ones. But you find out you're not as charismatic as you think you are, so you end up like kind of leaning into the analytical side of things, and it's like a mishmash now. Thanks so much. I mean, it's my favorite part of the job is that I can occasionally put out a video on like something no one's heard of, and it's just great. Oh man.
So, what made you start YouTube?
Oh, okay. Well, I wanted to do YouTube years and years ago, and I was too scared. That was honestly the gist of it. But I was going through for a degree at the time, and I was also too scared and never really took initiative on anything. I was just kind of a bum who like did my work, or schoolwork, and like went home and played video games. And I started getting really kind of depressed. Especially when I was getting to the end of my bachelor's degree, where it's like, this is it for me, isn't it? Like, I'm gonna have to walk out into the workforce. Oh my god. And the thing is, also, by the way, there's no happy ending to that, right? I actually did enter the workforce. I got my bachelor's. I went and got a teaching degree after being miserable, like wanting to get my life rolling or do something creative or expressive. And I just went off to teach, and then to go to, I taught in Korea for a full year out of teachers college just to get a job, because it was like, oh, I can do this. Like, they love that. People with degrees. And then I came back home and I did like the daycare, literally like the after school care gauntlet for a while, and then actually did supply teaching or substitute teaching if you're an American. And it just took off as COVID was like actually happening that exact moment. It's crazy, like, or became more financially viable at that time, and then blossomed from there as I went on.
Do you do YouTube full time? If so, at what point did you know you could do it full time?
Oh god. See, the thing is, um, I wish there were a better answer to that question, because like I've almost quit about 8 times over 8 years. Not every year, but multiple times throughout multiple years. For various reasons, and affordability has been like a huge one, not in the past 2 or 3 years. So it would have been then. It would have been 5 years into the gig that I was like, I can make this work. Hopefully, if I keep growing it, because it just doesn't pay money, especially if you don't have a Patreon. But the thing was, I refused to open a Patreon until I had 50,000 subs, because I didn't think I had earned it. I know that sounds crazy. I know people who have like 100 subs and they have a Patreon. It's actually totally normal. But I wanted to prove that if I was going to take this seriously, I was going to show to my audience that I was going to take it seriously. Um, yeah, that I would have. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's reflected in the output over. I mean, debatably, but like that my schedule was so like I'm going to work literally every day and get a million videos out, and I think I've written like I will shower you with content if you like give me money on Patreon or something. It's not because that was the whole point, was like I want to give you bang for your buck. I'm not just trying to rob you online. Um,
What would be your advice for small creators in similar or adjacent niches to get started?
I oh goodness. Okay, I have like a ton of opinions about this because I mean I came from the dust. Um, and my main thing that I'm gonna like everyone needs to do it is to be able to output. And I don't just mean like you need to be on a schedule or whatever, because sure, whatever, everyone's different. I just mean you need to like build the tools within yourself to actually consistently make anything. And not and also because a lot of people think they're like the next H bomb or like Noah Gervais or something, and that they're gonna like just have like 3 months or 5 months, whatever, to make something, and their audience won't abandon them. But that's not necessarily true, especially on YouTube. And most of us aren't like hyper talented by design, so or accepted by an audience by design. So right, just consistently building those skills, and that's the thing is like not getting too arrogant, because you know the only way you even build those skills and consistently output is believing that you have some more things to say and some more things to do and to tweak, and all the knobs in your disposal that you can like adjust to make your stuff better. Um, Recognizing that those exist is part of it. Yeah, I think that's the big one. But I was gonna say there are other ones as well, like, that's the big one, but I believe my other answers tie into other questions, so I'll just let them come naturally. I read ahead.
Do you do this alone or with a YouTube community to share and show your videos?
And this is the part 2. Okay, so, um, I didn't have a community. I did it alone, except for the fact that my wife helped me film and do like graphic stuff and thumbnails for a very long time until I do it mostly myself now. But the point of this is that like I have literally come from the dust, and I'm not kidding when I say it. I went 2 years of uploads with like no sub. I had 1,000 subs by the second year, which is abysmal. Most people would tell you to quit. Um, until I started, questioning what I was doing and changing things and getting more intentional about things. And the trick here is that growth, and this is the advice from last part. Growth is not something that's handed to you by other people. 99.99% of the time. There is such a thing as like a big YouTuber being like, "Hey, this new guy's part of our community," and like it's like a special like niche interest kind of community. I could go like specific like political slants, etc. Like these groups will like create more safe spaces on the internet for certain individuals who feel like, okay, this person's getting recommended, sure, I'll go there and like earnestly engage. That's fine. Gaming is so dime a dozen by design. Like there are so many commentators and voices where like, you could be a huge YouTuber, sell a small one, and get no traction on those like the small creator. It just you need to inspire intrinsic motivation in an audience, and that comes from your own output. 9 times out of 10, I would say. Yes, and admittedly, it has ravaged me mentally for years because again, coming from like very like minimal support from other YouTubers and things until like very late in the game, and even now, it has perpetually felt like, oh man, like, am I just not good enough for other people? What did I do wrong? Is it just because I was cringy like 4 years ago or two? Like, what do I have to do to get other people's approval? And then you have to stop yourself and be like, none of this shit matters. These people don't make your income. You are responsible for your income. Like, I support, I have a wife. I have to make a certain amount of money every month. That's just how it is. And no one's going to come and save me on that front. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, I do feel bad because it feels partially like the greatest motivator for some people is just having responsibilities. Um,
What's been your favorite game that you've covered so far?
I this one is sorry, I looked at this one for a while because I'm like, there's like so many answers and none of them are good enough. I guess I want to say Ninja Gaiden 2, which sounds like a crappy answer, but I use Ninja Gaiden 2 for a reason, which is I played Black, the first, or Ninja Gaiden Black, the first game, and it was really hard, and you have to learn the system. and sure, whatever. But then you load into 2 and like the developer is just giving you a titty twister every level. And like you'll like walk down a hallway and enemies will like spawn and like come from out from the corners of the it's just like they're literally trying to fuck with you the entire time. Um so it becomes, despite being a rage-filled and miserable first play sometimes, it's sort of a transcendental experience. Like there's actually like joy in this ridiculous jank. And I think that helped, change how I think about games partially. The difference is that Drakengard didn't make me think differently about games. I just don't really like Drakengard very much. Though, respect to people who can, because I've seen people like play it and enjoy it, like the moment to moment play, and I'm like, man, you are probably the strongest person alive. You and Monster Hunter 1 players. Oh yeah.
How long did it take you to reach where you're at now through everything that you've been through?
Yeah. So that's why the question is complicated, is because my channel's like barely been on life support for like years and years. Because the big break, that wasn't a monetization break, wasn't Soul Calibur. Like that was my first like break into being public, which was 2 years into my thing. I think it was Fable I did, which was 3 or 4 years into the show. Anyway, that one got me 10K like basically in a month, subs. And then from there it was just a matter of putting out videos until um people, because like people also after watching that one went and watched other ones. Like there was a BioShock video I did and it kicked up all my really old crappy ones and people were still watching them for some reason, God help me. Um and then I eventually did Patreon because that one brought me to 40K. I did Patreon at 50K, which was a year later, I think, and that's when I started being viable. So arguably it would be that time. Um but the second answer to this question is I only think I'm really where I wanted to be was around the Twooey video, which was like 2 years ago or so, because it was at that time generally where I started to pin down what I wanted to be doing with games on the internet at all. Um, you can only make so many games videos where eventually you start running out of interest in games until you evolve your framework. And I evolved my questions for how I'm critically thinking about them, basically.
How do you manage when a video doesn't perform as well as you would hope for?
Yeah, first we get anxious, then we get really sad, and then we get angry, and then we go into a creative flurry and try to solve our problem and rework our mindset. And that's, I mean, honestly, I will upload something within 2 hours or 5 hours or so. I generally know if it's going to be a tank, like just flop. And that point, I'm like upset and whatever, and like receding into myself. But it's like, it doesn't matter. You gotta go again. You've been here so many times. I have flopped so many goddamn videos that it does not matter anymore. And we're just gonna go ahead and move on. Um, Recently, I just put out a Mass Effect video, and that one hurt specifically because it was like 3 hours. It was huge. So I'm like, oh my god, I just like wasted 2 months of my life. Like this is hell. But I got so pissed off immediately after that I just like made up a ton of thumbnails and ideas and concepted a bunch of new stuff. And I'm like, I think I'm good for the future. We're good now. You know? You just keep going. Yeah.
Do you have any plans for the future of your channel? Are you going to continue video essays? What's going on?
Right. Currently the theme is for this coming year is a KBash novelties series, which is not what I'm titling it. It's unofficial. But I'm trying to or rather, I've gone through so many videos where I'm like, I'm going to cover every video game in a series, and at some point it got kind of soulless because, playing 16 or so Armored Core games that you were compelled to play per Patreon goals, it doesn't really inspire joy, the way you think potentially. So, some of that joy slips out, and you don't bring your A game to the material. And I was told that, and I thought, I need to start actually like being intentional about this shit now. Like I've gotten to a point where I can basically put out whatever and survive, which is the main thing. So let's do a series on things that are new and interesting, and like talk about games in new ways or make people think newly in different ways about games. Not all the time, but as much as we can. Yeah, and tell a story. Always, I'm gonna try to tell a story each time with the video. Yeah. Um, it depends. In this case, like the recent one I'm working on right now, is more a story about the Mana series as a whole through the lens of one game and about the games industry. And after that, it turns into like other stuff. And not always about myself. I will be clear about that. The main thing is like trying to, because I'm not trying to evolve into Tim Rogers nonfiction yet. Though I'm trying to move into rather like just having something of worth in a video to give it like some kind of spark, like something worth saying. Because I've said so much at this point, it's hard to find something that feels like it's worth saying. Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me about your day to day. What goes into making a video? Ideas, script writing, recording gameplay, all the good stuff.
So, hell is I have a notepad here and I script out or literally write out like day by day, every single day what work I'm gonna do. So it's just like the 12th, edit the top of the video, like do the proper video editing, the jokes and the visuals. And then the 13th, I am gonna do a quality check on all the stuff I've edited, etc. Um, and this is basically scripted out a month in advance, basically. So I wake up and I do my work until dinner time. I cook dinner, and then I get off to go record footage for other videos. So that's like my entire life, and I'm not even kidding. Like I don't take time off. I'm going to eventually because I will die if I don't. Um, so I tell myself. Like I'm not even sure what else to add to that because like the actual video editing is just like I sit down at the computer and video edit it. When I'm scripting, I'm like, I'm gonna hit 2K to 4K words today or die trying. That's it. Like I go for walks and eat and try to be healthy in the meantime. You know? Yeah. Well, you know, I've heard you talk for a mere how long has it been? 25 minutes. And I already know you have a master's degree, and I already know you have responsibilities, which implies a couple things to me. A lot of the people who will tell you to your face, and that I've met over the years, who won't tell you to like to grind, they'll be like, "Don't do that. You're gonna hurt yourself." Generally, are not the primary income in the relationship, or like don't suffer under like those constraints. But a lot of us do, and so I like to assume like when someone has that instinct, it's for a reason. Not that they're trying to like self-flagellate or whatever, like or martyr themselves. And yes, we do need to walk that line carefully because it is very easy to stumble into. But you know, I'm gonna fuck it up. I don't really have any closing remarks. Fucking grab life and wring it dry and then suck it back like a smoothie.